Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooke. On this channel I do ASMR videos, which are a type of relaxation videos that not everybody's into, and that's okay. Some people find them very calming, myself included. And then the other kinds of videos that I do are videos surrounding, well, my pregnancy, now my baby, and I also have been a vegan for 3 years, so I talk a lot about that and health and fitness and those types of things. So if you like any of those things under that broad umbrella, then please subscribe to my channel. Sorry, my hands are really dry and I'm gonna put on lotion while I'm thinking of it. But yeah, subscribe to this channel and hopefully I can entertain you in some way. Today I'm going to be talking about what to expect your first week postpartum. I'm now into my second week of after having a baby. It's the 28th of February and I had my baby, who is asleep behind me. I had her on the 19th of February. So I am, how many days? 9 days postpartum. So I just wanted to talk about what to expect during your first week of postpartum. And again, this could be so different for everybody. This could be so different depending on if you had a cesarean, if you had a vaginal birth, if you had an epidural, if you didn't have an epidural, if you had multiple babies, if you are older or younger than I am. Just really, it's so different for every single woman. So everything that I say, take it with a grain of salt. It might happen for you the same way and it might be completely different. But I just want to let you know my experience so that if you're experiencing any of these things, know that they're completely normal and everything is going to be okay. So, I don't know why I just did that. My gum is bleeding. That's nice. Huh. My body knew that it was bleeding before I did. Anyways, so, let's get started. So, in my first week postpartum, I stayed at the hospital overnight, one night, and then I left the next morning. So I left about 24 hours, maybe 25 or 6 hours after I gave birth. And I was able to do that because I had a pretty uncomplicated birth. I had a small, they wouldn't even consider it like a hemorrhage, but I was bleeding a little bit, but they were able to stop it pretty quickly. And otherwise I had a vaginal birth, I was unmedicated, and there was really no reason for me to stay any longer. So I went home just the next morning, and I will tell you what, I was so glad to be getting out of that hospital. I didn't want to give birth in a hospital anyway. It was my plan to go to a birth center, but things did not go that way. And if you would like to hear more about that, I will leave the link to my birth story in the description box below. But so I was so happy to leave because literally every couple of minutes there would be somebody coming in to check on the baby, to check on me, to push on my stomach, to take the baby's temperature and make her cry, to have us sign paperwork, to make us fill out the birth certificate information, to check on my lactation. And oh my God, like it was ridiculous, you guys. Being totally honest, I was trying to poop the day after I gave birth. I was sitting on the toilet trying to poop, and it was difficult, let me tell you that much. It was not an easy task. So I was sitting on the toilet, like really focusing, trying to go. And there were literally so many people who were coming in. I was texting my friend Jenny, and I was like, oh my God, another person just came in while I'm trying to go poop. And it was every like 4 minutes somebody would come in, and I was just sitting on the toilet like, can't a sister poop? Like, I just had a baby, leave me alone. And yeah, it was hard enough to concentrate as it was. And the thing is, after you give birth, every ounce, every shred of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Pride, it just kind of goes away. Yeah, like you don't have any pride left. Because when they would like knock on the door, I would be like, oh, I'm just trying to go to the bathroom. They would just come in and like talk to me, and I'm just sitting there on the toilet like, okay, I'm really trying to push here. Like, it was ridiculous. And Same situation. I was taking a bath before I left because I was like, okay, when is the next time I'm going to be able to take a bath? And so I was trying to take a bath and people kept coming in and my water was getting cold and I was like, you guys suck. It was just ridiculous. I wish that hadn't happened, but I mean, I'm glad because they made sure that I was safe and the baby was safe and that I was good to go home and whatever, but still, it was just like, leave me alone. And at one point my midwife came in and I was in the bath and I'm just sitting there naked in the bath, and she came in and she sat on the floor and was talking to me, and she was like, so how do you feel? Are you ready to go home? And I was like, I am so ready to go home. And she just nodded and she was like, so people stop bugging you while you're trying to take a bath? And I was like, yes. Oh my gosh. Like, it was just, yeah, I was so ready to go home. So if you just gave birth, get used to being poked and prodded and examined in every possible way. Get used to people touching on you and all of that stuff, because it's gonna happen. And so I had some trouble, speaking of getting touched and grabbed and poked, I had some trouble with breastfeeding when I was in the hospital. For some reason, this baby does not want to latch. And there are a couple of reasons why this could be. They said that she had a really tense jaw, so to maybe like give her a little massage before putting her to the breast. And then she also has a bit of a lip tie, which is like that thing, the little tie, like that ties your lip to your gums, if you can feel it. I had mine cut off actually when I was younger. But yeah, and so they were like, that could be the reason why, and there are just a lot of reasons, but really she just wouldn't open up her mouth wide enough. And so when she would put my nipple in her mouth, it wouldn't go in far enough, so she would be like sucking on it, and it was so excruciatingly painful, you guys. It was so painful. And there, at one point it was so painful that I was like, it took everything I had in me not to throw that baby across the room. It was so excruciating. And to be honest, I did not want to breastfeed anyway, or I did not want to nurse anyway. It was never my plan. If you've been watching my videos, I've said that I hoped that I could exclusively pump. And it's just something that I've always wanted. It's not, it's just a personal preference. I wanted to exclusively pump and feed my baby breast milk, but I did not want to nurse the baby to my breast. And I figured I would try, because I was like, well, maybe she'll come out and it'll just be like beautiful and I'll change my mind. And to be honest, it wasn't, and it was a struggle. And I've talked to a couple of people who gave birth the same week as I did, who I've been interacting with on Instagram, and they've been having troubles as well. So if you're having trouble breastfeeding, it's okay. Give yourself some grace, cut yourself some slack. And what the lactation consultant told me while I was there, she was like, if this doesn't work out, just know that it's your baby's fault and not yours. It's not your fault. There's nothing that you can do to make this baby latch properly. So that made me feel better. And I know that it's really important to some people that they can breastfeed, and if they can't, it's like absolutely devastating to their person. Thankfully, it was not that way to me. I've been exclusively pumping. Here is my pump. Hello. I got it through insurance, actually. It's the Spectrum S2. And I keep it right here next to the bed because this is pretty much where I spend most of my day, is just in the bedroom. And I pump every 2 hours. It's supposed to be every 2 hours, but really I've been pumping like every 3 hours, and that's still a lot, let me tell you. I've been pumping about 7 times a day, usually around 145 minutes a day. And it's a lot. It is a lot, but my supply is increasing quite a bit every single day, and it's making me feel so grateful and so happy, because my milk didn't come in for the first 3 days. I think it came in on day 4. And until then, I just had colostrum. And since this baby was not latching, I had to hand express this colostrum. So basically, you just, take your giant new boobs and you squeeze them into what I was doing. I was doing a little medicine cup, like that you take a shot of medicine in. And I was like squirting the colostrum into this little medicine cup. I was getting, milliliters at a time, very, very small amounts at a time. And then we had a little dropper that we would suck up the colostrum in. We would take a little doop, 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 put a little dab on the finger, put the finger in her mouth so she would start sucking on it. and then squirt from the dropper the colostrum into her mouth. And that's how we fed her for the first 3 or 4 days. And thankfully the baby's stomachs are so small that they just need tiny drops of colostrum for the first couple days. And I produced plenty for her, but it still was just like very exhausting. My arm hurt so bad. I couldn't express with this hand for some reason. It just wasn't working. So I had to do this for like 45 minutes at a time, like 10 times a day to make her enough food. Oh my gosh, it was a forearm killer, I tell you that much, but it worked. We made it happen, and if I had had to supplement with formula, that would have been perfectly okay too, but I did not. And then my milk came in, and it's been a breeze ever since. I definitely would say to, if you're planning on pumping at all, get extra pump parts right away, because tell you what, having to wash my pump parts after every single time I pump, when I'm pumping this often to establish my supply, girl, it gets really old, especially having to go downstairs and wash my pump parts twice a night. Yeah, not fun. And the thing is, I'm supposed to, like I said, I'm supposed to be pumping every 2 hours according to the internet, but I've been pumping every 3 or so hours, and I've been producing plenty for her, enough to put even a small stash in the freezer. I have 4 6-ounce bags, 4 6-ounce bags in the freezer already, and I'm working on bag number 5 today. She's got plenty to eat, and it makes me feel really good and secure knowing that I'm feeding her, no matter how I'm feeding her, and that I can see how many ounces that she's eating at every meal, so that I know, okay, she is eating enough food. And of course there are other ways to tell. Is your baby peeing and pooping a certain amount of times a day, and blah blah blah, but I'm a numbers person. In certain ways, I really want to see, okay, she is drinking 2 ounces every meal or whatever. And yeah, so I've been producing plenty, thank God, but if you're not, just know that that is totally normal. And if you're having problems with latching, or if you're having a low supply issue, or if you have to use a nipple shield, or if you have to pump or supplement with formula, it's okay. And if you're talking to somebody who's like shaming you for that for whatever reason, then stop talking to them and find a lactation consultant who can help you like with those issues. Because 1, they'll be super helpful, and 2, they'll be super supportive, and they'll make you really realize that you are not alone. So there was that. What else? Sleep. Sleep, the first couple days, not fun. She was waking up many times throughout the night. It was not cool. I'm still, like, if you can see, I have dark circles under my eyes, little purple circles, because I'm not sleeping very much. And before I got pregnant, I was the type of person where I needed 9 hours of sleep a night. I needed it. And if I didn't get 9 hours of sleep, it was like bad news bears, okay? Especially if it happened multiple nights in a row. It's just the number that I've always needed. If I let my body sleep as long as it wants, it sleeps for 9 hours and wakes me up. So yeah, not cool, not fun, not fresh. But even like my last few weeks in pregnancy, I had her at 39 weeks and 1 day, and even my last few weeks in pregnancy, I was still sleeping fine. Of course, I was waking up multiple times to go to the bathroom, but otherwise my sleep was still so comfortable, and it was so nice. And now it's not really comfortable or nice. But the first few days were much worse than these last couple days have been. This is the 3rd night in a row that she has let me sleep for 6 hours total, not all at one stretch. She's been sleeping for 4-hour stretches throughout the night, and I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna wake her up. Some people have told me, including her pediatrician, like, make sure that she wakes up every 2 hours to eat, but I'm sorry, if she's sleeping 4 hours at night, I'm gonna let her sleep, and I'm gonna let me sleep too. Throughout the day, I will wake her up. If she starts to get around that 3-hour mark, I will wake her up to eat, but otherwise at night, I'm letting her do her thing, okay? I am not about to screw with that. But since she sleeps for 4 hours stretches and then she wakes up to eat and then sleeps for another 4 hours, you would think, oh, that means mama gets 4 hours or 8 hours of sleep at night. No, she does not, because she still has to wake up and pump those 2 times, and pumping takes me about 20-ish minutes. And then I have to go wash my pump parts. I have to put the milk in the fridge in new bottles, and then I have to bring the pump parts back up, and then I have to try to fall back asleep. So when she wakes up to eat, it takes me about an hour to feed her and to do my pumping and all that goes along with it, and then go back to bed. If you are planning on pumping, let me tell you, it takes a lot of your time, and for the first few days I was really depressed. I was really, really, really sad. I was crying a lot because I was just so damn tired, and I felt so unsexy. This is like the tea, okay, of this whole video. This is where I'm gonna get, super real with you. I was having some pretty intense baby blues. That's my dog's bone up there, oh my gosh. I was having some pretty intense baby blues, especially around day 4 and 5 and 6, because I was just so exhausted, you guys. It was so tiring, and yeah, this is before she was doing those 4-hour stretches. That was when she was doing like 1-hour stretches and then waking up, and I was just so tired. Oh, you guys, I was so tired, and they tell you that you're gonna be tired as a new parent, and they are telling you the truth. It's so exhausting. Don't think I can say that enough. And because I was so tired, because I wasn't really taking good care of myself, I was still struggling to find a routine and a normal, and drinking enough water and all of that stuff, eating at all. It was hard. And so I was sad. And once I would start crying, the tears would not stop. I would start crying for one reason, and then 4 hours later, I would still just be bawling, and I couldn't stop. And it was really hard on me, and it was hard on my boyfriend, and it was not fun. But then once she started letting me sleep for a little bit longer, I have been feeling so much better. But yeah, if you are crying, if you are sad, just know that it is totally normal, and it could just be a case of baby blues that goes away pretty quickly, or it could be postpartum depression. Either way, feel free to reach out to somebody, because they will help. I have a therapist that I saw like long before I was pregnant, but even while I was pregnant and stuff, and I'm very excited to start meeting with her again next week, because I need that support. She also just had a baby, so she'll know what to do. But yeah, definitely get help, especially if you are being I don't know, self-destructive in any kind of way. If you're just totally like not taking care of yourself, or if you can't take care of your baby properly, try to recognize that within yourself. But they also told me at the birth center, they were like, your partner will probably realize that you're suffering before you do. And so try to make your partner aware before you have a baby that this could happen, and that it's normal, and that these are the signs and stuff, so that if your partner does kind of notice, hey, you're really sad lately, are you okay? Can you take care of the baby? Can you take care of yourself? If not, let's get you some help, because you just might be so exhausted and mom-brained and just think that, you know, I don't want to get help, or I don't need to get help, I'm fine, I can do this, don't tell me I can't take care of my child, you know, that kind of thing. You could feel a lot of things. You could feel angry, you could feel resentful, you could feel depressed, you could feel just kind of sad, you could feel down, you could feel extremely happy, like you're on this high. Anything that you feel is totally normal, and I've felt all of those things this entire time. I've felt resentful toward my partner, I've felt resentful toward people who have helped me take care of the baby so far. I've felt resentful toward the baby herself. Those late nights when I had to hand express colostrum for an hour every hour, I was feeling pretty resentful toward that baby. So yeah, anything that you feel is very, very normal. And chances are it'll go away. So that's a good thing. So what else? I'm feeling much better now. She's letting me sleep a little bit more. There are a lot of fluids and gross things that happen after you give birth that are just not fun. A lot of this stuff is just not fun. So here are some fluid examples. You pee yourself a little bit, and that's normal. You bleed a lot, and that's normal. You have clots that can be up to the size of an egg, and that's normal. If they're bigger than an egg, though, you should call your doctor. An egg. Yes, an egg. You could have a lot of trouble pooping, so you might need some stool softener, in which case diarrhea is the next liquid. I got a hemorrhoid for the first time in my life, and I got that while I was in labor, pushing, because I pushed for 3 hours with this baby. And my hemorrhoid is not a fluid, but damn, it's gross and not something that I was expecting. And since I've never had a hemorrhoid before, I was like, my butthole just really hurts. Like, so I had my boyfriend look at my butthole, and I'll tell you what, that's pretty humiliating to be like, hey babe, how does this look? Like, it's not cute. And I felt so unsexy and so gross, because I was like, okay, first of all, I'm like a cow. I'm attached to this pumping machine all day long. Like, every time my boyfriend sees me, I'm attached to this pumping machine, pumping out milk. I'm having, like, on day 3, I had this weird rush of bleeding, or day 4? Day 5. Yeah, it was day 5. I had this, like, gush of blood when I was going to the bathroom, and I lost a lot of blood at one time, and I got super lightheaded, and not cool. So I had my boyfriend come in there and be like, is this normal? Look at all this blood, and should I call the doctor? Because I had kind of stopped bleeding. Well, it was very light, and then all of a sudden I was having this huge gush of blood, and apparently that was normal as well. Around day 7 to 9, you will lose your placenta scab, and a lot of blood will come out. And the midwife said that she receives a lot of panicked phone calls around that time, because people are like, oh my gosh, like, my bleeding was letting up, and then all of a sudden it's just so much. What did I do? Am I okay? And it's normal. I just lost mine a little bit early. And yeah, but still, like, every time I talk to my boyfriend, I swear to God, I'm like covered in spit up, or I just peed myself, or I'm like, check out my butthole today, or look at all this blood, and you don't feel very sexy, or at least I didn't. Especially watching the videos from my birth and seeing how I looked, and I was just like, you know, covered in sweat, and I was bawling, and my nipples were out, and just everything. I just looked really nasty, and of course I did. I was giving birth, but still, seeing yourself like that and knowing that your partner saw you like that, and then all of these gross fluids are coming out of you, and your boobs are huge, and your body isn't normal. It's strange, and it doesn't make you feel very good at all. But what helped me was just being honest with my boyfriend and telling him, listen, I'm really sad. And he asked me why, and I said, I made a list, but I don't want to talk about it, because I didn't want to vocalize any of it. I didn't want to keep crying, but, you know, I was sad. I was just freaking sad as hell, and I was sick of crying, and I just wanted to tell someone, but I didn't want to get in depth as to why. And he said, send me the list. And so I sent him the list of all of the reasons why I was sad. I went super in depth, and one of them, I just said that I didn't feel attractive or sexy to him anymore. And no matter how many times he tells me that he loves me even more now that he saw me give birth, or that he thinks I'm so beautiful, I'm like, I don't care if you think I'm beautiful. I want to know if you think I'm sexy or not. And that might sound really silly, but it's just how I felt. And so he's been making more of an effort to show me, yes, I do think you're sexy, and to tell me that I'm sexy and hot and whatever. And it does make me feel good, even though even though at first I was just like, you're only saying that because I told you to say that. And he was like, no, I'm saying that because I didn't know that you wanted to hear me say that out loud. He's like, I always think it, but I didn't know that you wanted me to say it. So now I'm just adding it to the list of things I already call you. Like, I already call you beautiful. I already call you cute. Now I'm just going to call you sexy too, because I didn't realize that that's something you needed to hear. So it helped being open about that and being communicative with him about it, because it is something that I needed to hear. And especially since after you give birth, sorry if you guys are family or friends or whatever watching this, but clearly I have had sex before. I just had a baby. So yeah, but like, since you can't have sex or anything after you give birth, and to be honest, you're too tired anyway, and you're just like, you're in pain, you're uncomfortable, you're sore, you have a hemorrhoid, like all of those things, it's hard to be like, oh, they think I'm sexy, because you're not doing anything sexual or anything like that after you give birth. So for like weeks and weeks at a time, and you're wearing big pads and diapers, and it's just, you know, you don't feel cute, and that's okay. I also found that after a while, I was like, okay, I need to get into my own routine, because we were lucky enough to have CJ's mom, and sometimes his sister would stay too, to just kind of help out with the baby, help us out, like make us food if we needed anything. And I know that a lot of people have that luxury where they have a friend or somebody who they can call, a parent or a grandparent or whatever, and come and help them out. And it is super helpful and so nice. But after a while, just being honest with you, I needed my own like space, and it was around the time where I was starting to feel pretty depressed. So I think that's why I just kind of wanted to be alone. But also I wanted a way that I could get into my own routine. And even though it totally sucked, like waking up in the middle of the night multiple times a night, I was like, I want to do that, because I want to start getting into my own routine and figuring out this baby, and just figuring out how it works, and how I can manage the baby and my housework and my videos and just all of those things. I wanted to figure out how to do that by myself. And so if you have people who are staying with you or helping you or anything like that, and let's just say it's been like a week and you're like, oh my God, okay, grandma, it's time to go, or whatever, like your mom or your sister or your friend or your, you know, whoever, yeah, just try to be open and communicative with them about that, and just say, hey, listen, I really need to figure out my own thing. I didn't have to do that at all, because she ended up going home on day 3 or 4, and at first I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna miss this. Like someday I'm gonna be like, oh, why can't she be here right now? Like when the 4-month sleep regression hits or something. And I knew I was gonna want that back, but at the same time I knew that it was good that I was going to be getting into my own routine. Your body, from what people have told me, they say that your body feels so empty, and that you feel like phantom kicks, and your stomach feels empty, and you feel empty. And to be honest, I didn't feel that at all, and I still don't feel that. I haven't felt any phantom kicks. I haven't, I didn't feel empty ever, and I still don't feel empty. I just feel like not pregnant, I guess. I mean, I don't even feel not pregnant. I just kind of feel the same, and when I was pregnant, I kind of felt the same too. So if you don't feel empty and like you've totally lost something, then that's fine. But if you do, that's fine too. I've also found it difficult to make sure that I was taking care of myself, taking sitz baths and such, which you're supposed to do like twice a day, every day, and I've taken 3 since I've been home. So I know that I'm not really taking the most care of myself, and it's just hard. It's hard to take care of yourself when you're taking care of this baby. And especially like yesterday I told CJ, I was like, yeah, she just sleeps all day, and she does. My baby just sleeps all the time, 24/7. I'm talking so loud, and she's been sleeping there in her crib for a half hour. And she just sleeps a lot. And so you would think, oh, your baby sleeps all the time, so you can sleep, or you can get all this stuff done. There have been things that I've been wanting to do for the past week, and every day I'm like, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do this thing, and I can't do it. I just can't find the time, even though she sleeps all the time. And so it is hard getting into that new normal, especially if you're pumping, because it's just like, sure, she might be sleeping for 2 hours, but I have to spend 45 minutes of that 2 hours doing my pump stuff. And so it takes away a lot of time. And it can be pretty exhausting and pretty annoying, but it also just feels really, really good to me knowing that I can feed my daughter and knowing that I am making milk for her. And I know that so many women don't get that opportunity, and that is devastating. That's so sad. And so I'm really, really thankful that I'm able to pump. And so I try to remind myself of that if I'm ever just like, I don't want to do it. It's okay. You know, I'm still lucky. And so I just keep reminding myself of that. What else? I am sore in my vagina now. And I have not been since I left the hospital. Like, when I left the hospital, I was still a little sore, but pretty much right away, I was like ready to go. I was ready to do stuff. I was ready to clean. I was ready to do things on my own. And my boyfriend and his mom were both just like, you need to frickin' relax. Like, knock it off. You can't clean. You can't go up and down the stairs like that. You can't make yourself food. Like, you can't do any of this stuff. And I was like, but I feel fine. And now my vagina is more sore than it was when I first came home, and I was trying to think of why that could possibly be, and I think it's because I've been peeing a little bit, like I told you. And so yesterday I started doing Kegels, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna fix this piddling issue, and I'm gonna do some Kegels. And if you don't know what Kegels are, just Google it. But I'm wondering if doing that and like exercising those muscles just was too much, and it made me sore. So I think that that's kind of what happened. Yeah, so anyway, vagina's sore, hemorrhoid is hemorrhoiding. Don't know what to do about that. Yeah, anyway, it's just a lot of nasty things. It's grosser than I thought it would be. It's less painful to recover than I thought it would be, and it takes less time to physically recover than I thought it would take, but it's just more gross than I thought it would be, and it made me feel grosser than I thought I would. I've always been the type of person where like I'll fart and I'll poop with the door open and like all that stuff with my boyfriend, and I don't really care. And for some reason, this has just been totally different for me. It's not just been like, oh, fart, haha, funny. It's been like, oh, tons of blood, milk everywhere, not funny, not cute, really makes me sad. And then I'd cry forever. If you have a pet, this is, I think, the last point that I'll make. If you have a pet, you could feel really, really guilty about your new life with that pet. I started crying and could not stop on day 4 or 5 postpartum, because I was dancing with my baby. I was holding the baby in my hands, and we were like dancing to some High School Musical songs. And I looked over at my dog, who was laying on the bed, and I just lost it, and I started crying, and I was like, she didn't sign up for this newborn thing. She didn't sign up to have a baby sister. She didn't sign up to be woken up a million times a night by crying. She didn't want this. She wanted her old life. She loves me and CJ. She doesn't love this little baby. She feels unwanted. She feels unloved. She feels like we don't care about her anymore and she's not important. And that thought just made me so sad, and it still does. But it made me just bawl my eyes out and then not stop for 6 hours. So that was great. But I felt so guilty in that moment, and I talked to my dog, because I do that, and I was just like, Passport, I know you're not going to believe me now, but someday, a couple years from now, you are going to love Rose more than you love me, more than you love Daddy. You are going to love her so much, and you are going to be her best friend, and all of this is going to be worth it, and you're going to look back on this and be like, this is when my best friend came into my life. But then I got even more sad because I was like, that's a couple years from now, and dogs live a short amount of time as it is, and I'm asking her to just be unhappy and feel unloved and unwanted for multiple years, and I felt so guilty, and I still do. And that might sound funny to somebody who like isn't a pet owner, or even like somebody who is a pet owner but they don't like love their pets like that, you know? It might sound silly, but I still do feel guilty about that. And she's been fine. She's a good dog. She's very concerned. Like when the baby cries, she'll look at us like, are you guys gonna fix that? Are you guys gonna do something about this? And like she always checks on the baby, like in the crib, she'll stick her nose between the little things and, you know, make sure that the baby's okay. And yeah, and so she's a good dog, and she's not sad or like jealous or anything or mad, but you can tell that she's sad, especially because it's winter here. It's freezing cold, and if it were not winter, I would wrap this baby around my chest in a little backpack, or I would put her in her stroller and we would go for walks, and we would go outside in the sunshine and have a great time, because that's what my dog loves. She loves to go for walks, and I can't do that right now because it's freezing cold. Like it's -5 degrees today. What are we supposed to do? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just, there are certain things that I still feel really sad about, and even though I'm not horribly depressed and crying anymore, I am still pretty, you know, emotional. And my boyfriend has also been working a crap ton since she's been born, and that's made me feel a certain type of way as well. And I know a lot of you will have your partner go back to work, and it's gonna feel strange. You're gonna be like, well, why do I have to be here all day? And why can't he be here to help me? And then when he comes home, you're like, do you want to change her diaper? Or like, you know, it's just, it feels strange, but I'm grateful that he is working, and I just keep trying to, every time I feel a negative type of way, I just try to remember how grateful I am, and I just try to express gratitude for whatever I'm feeling frustrated about in that moment, because even though I might be frustrated that I'm by myself and I miss my man and I'm lonely and I know that he's missing out on this precious time with our daughter, I'm like, I'm so grateful that he is working and making money so that we can have, you know, nice things for her, and that we can have food on the table and a house and everything. It makes me feel so good. And I know that it's not permanent, it's not forever, it's just right now. And then with pumping as well, when I'm just like, oh my god, I don't want to pump again, or, you know, it's 3 in the morning, I don't want to wash the pumping stuff right now, I just have to remember that I am making food for my daughter with my own body, and so many people would give their left leg to be able to do that, and they can't. So I just have to remember to express gratitude and be present. It's been hard. I've been on my phone a lot because it's just like there's nothing else to do when she's sleeping and stuff, and yeah, or like late at night when she's feeding, and I'll just be like scrolling on my phone. So what I've really been trying to do is be intentional about not being on my phone in front of her, and instead just staring at her. Like I spend a lot of time just staring at my daughter because she's just so beautiful, and I know that this time won't last forever, and that someday, as crazy as it sounds, I will really miss this newborn phase. And even though you're up multiple times a night, even though the baby is like pooping all these gross poops all the time, I know that I'm going to miss this time. And yeah, I also want you to know, last note, that I mentioned this in my birth story video, but if you feel completely traumatized by giving birth, that's normal and that's okay. If you feel completely empowered from giving birth, that's great too. And if you feel more confident than you ever have in your life after you give birth, that's wonderful and it's normal as well. I personally feel so traumatized by that birth, and even though everything was totally normal and great and everything was fine, it was just still the worst thing in the whole world. And I was talking to my boyfriend about that, and I was like, I think about it and it makes me cry and it makes me hurt inside, and it was so awful. It was just so awful, and I feel like nobody talks about how awful it is. Like, they say, oh yeah, giving birth is really painful, but they don't say, like, it truly traumatized me. And maybe it doesn't traumatize everybody, but it certainly did for me. And my boyfriend was also being transparent, and he said, I haven't wanted to say anything because I don't want to disrespect you or, like, make you feel like, oh yeah, I was in pain too. But he was like, it was really, really hard for me to watch, and I still have, like, flashbacks about it. And it was like watching you, the person I love more than anything, be tortured. It was really hard, and knowing that there was nothing I could do about it. And so if you are feeling that way, or if your partner is feeling that way, it's so normal. And I'm waiting for it to go away, because people say that it does. They say, like, as crazy as this sounds, you will forget how bad it was and you will want more kids. I can't imagine the feeling going away, but I know that it will. And if it ever does, I'm gonna watch this video and remind myself that it was really, really bad. Yeah, but anyway, and I am one of the fortunate ones to where I actually lost weight giving birth. So when I started my pregnancy, I was 161 pounds, like, before I got pregnant, and now I'm 147 pounds. So I have lost weight during this pregnancy, and that is not super normal, but so people are saying, like, how good I look, and wow, I can't believe you just had a baby, and blah blah blah. And it's like, I think I'm supposed to feel, like, really good about that. And sometimes I do, like, don't get me wrong, but most of the time, just being honest, I still don't feel attractive, and I don't feel sexy, and I don't feel good. And even though my body didn't, like, totally change, and I didn't gain a bunch of weight, and I didn't get, like, tons of stretch marks or whatever, I still have every right to feel not cute. I still have every right to not like my stomach, or to not like how my boobs look, or my arms, or whatever. I still have every right to feel however I'm feeling about my body. And I feel like so many people, if I were to tell them that, like, if they were like, wow, you look so good, if I were to tell them, actually, I really don't feel very good about myself right now, they would be like, oh my gosh, shut up, like, you are whatever they would say. And I feel like that's not right. Like, I should be able to say that I'm still not comfortable with my body. So there's that. So yeah, that's kind of your first week postpartum. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster. You're going to be so tired that you fall asleep sitting up. You're going to be so tired that you think to yourself, how am I even going to make it 5 more minutes without passing out? You are going to be just, like, so happy that you have this baby. Or you might not be. You might be like, oh my God, why did I have this baby? This baby sucks ass. Like, you really might think that. And that's perfectly okay. You can absolutely feel that way. Just if it starts getting to the point where you are super resentful toward the baby, and you really kind of hate that baby, and you want to cause harm to it, or you just can't find the will to take care of it, then get some help. And nobody's gonna judge you about that. It's a completely normal thing. I don't know how many times I can say normal, but the thing is about giving birth and pregnancy and labor and delivery and postpartum is that all of it's normal. Everything that could possibly be happening to you right now, or when this happens to you, it's normal. and it's happened to somebody else. It's probably happened to thousands of people, millions of people. And so if you ever feel like this can't just be me, like there's got to be somebody else in the world who feels this way, there is. And chances are if you go into like a mom's group on Facebook, or even just find somebody on Instagram whose like due date is the same as yours or whatever, if you search in the hashtags, you will find that people do feel the same way that you do, and that you're not alone. And I hope that you can find somebody who can relate to you and who is a person, like a community for you. I hope that you can find that for yourself. I'm still working on finding that for me, because I don't know many people who just had a baby. So yeah, I'm working on finding my own community, my own rhythm, and I'm feeling better and better every day. And at this moment, I'm getting 6 hours of sleep a night, and I feel damn good. I'm still tired, but I feel damn good. And yeah, so I'm very grateful. I think my baby is starting to wake up, so I'm gonna go take care of her now. And I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I'm sorry it was so long, but I wanted to be as candid and in detail with you as possible, just with how I've been feeling this week and how great and how bad I've felt, and all the great and horrible thoughts that I've thought to myself. So I want you to know that you are not alone. Everything you are feeling is normal. And I heard a quote today that I really loved, and it said that postpartum isn't just like a certain amount of time after you've had a baby. Postpartum is forever. And it's so true, you guys. It is so, so true. Don't feel like there's a timeline for how you're supposed to feel, or when you're supposed to feel better, or when your body is supposed to be back to normal, or whatever. Like, don't put that pressure on yourself that postpartum is a certain window of time, because it's not. It is literally forever. Excuse me, forever. Once you have a baby, you are postpartum, and that's that. And your journey with that will be as long or as short as your body tells you that it is, and that's okay. And it's normal. I had to say it again. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Leave any and all comments down below. Anything that I might have forgotten to mention or that you still have questions on, please ask in the comments, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.